Hi everybody, how are y'all doing today? I'm doing pretty damn well if you even asked. To be honest, this video is going to be a little bit all over the place, but we are going to talk about, real quick before I get into the Jazz, I will say content is going to have to slow down for a while because the computer that is to the right of me is not capable of exporting fast enough for me. And I understand that's a first world issue and there's much more difficult things in life to endure and deal with, and by no means am I complaining. I'm blessed for the situation that I am in and thankful for every family member for supporting me in any endeavor, but I am not able to produce videos right now because once I am exporting a video, I cannot use my laptop whatsoever. Like, it is impossible to use it because it is using all the memory that its poor little heart can. And right now, during specifically the school year, I have a lot of projects that I have to do. There's no way around it. I have to do these projects, and I am paying thousands of dollars to be in school, so obviously this takes precedent. But I just finished watching the Dallas Mavericks face the Utah Jazz in Game 2, and I do want to talk about it. I understand I didn't even get to put out a playoff prediction video, and there's been a lot of things to talk about with the first round. I do plan to talk about the Grizzlies and the Timberwolves and a lot of things, and I want to kind of get my feet settled into the playoff series because there is a lot of things to talk about, but the Jazz specifically are one that is very interesting to talk about because of their recent playoff failures, in which they used to be the team that was actually surprising people. If you don't remember, Donovan Mitchell just beat up on the Thunder in 2017 in a shocker in which a lot of people were expecting him not to be this. They were a surprise team. I mean, not a lot of people were expecting them to beat the Thunder. Russell Westbrook had a terrible series. It was kind of seen as a big red flag for his future, and it turned out to be true. It turned out that Russell Westbrook was not going to age very well, and the red flags of his success in future seasons continued to get worse and worse. And Donovan Mitchell kind of has peaked at that point. I don't really know if he can get much better, and this recent game when they don't have Luka Doncic, it's concerning. I mean, I'm not going to be the only video on this platform that's going to be saying that this is concerning, because it's been concerning for the past couple years, and it's very concerning because of how they react when adversity hits them. Does not show that they have a lot of chemistry throughout the team. They don't seem to band together, and from what I witnessed, they seem to panic. I mean, I don't know if it's Quinn Snyder's fault and we have been overrating him, or if the Donovan Mitchell and the Rudy Gobert talks have actually been like very truthful. The rumors of them two not really having great chemistry, these things seem to build up, and like, I understand that they were overachieving, but now they're clearly underachieving for a team that has so much potential. I remember when they signed Mike Conley, a lot of us kind of expected them to make deeper runs than this. I mean, not being able to get to a conference finals with a team that had so much success, specifically last year, being up 2-0, I mean, that's not to be understated. It's very difficult to be a good team like that, and it seems like, from what I'm looking at, I have their playoff history right here. I can go through each one. The Thunder, they overachieved, and then they ran into the Rockets, the peak Rockets, and I remember that. I mean, you see me with the Jalen Green jersey. I'm a huge Rockets fan. I remember each of those series very vividly. And 2017 was the year in which they were super dominant, one of the most unstoppable teams ever, lose to the Warriors in this conference finals. We don't need to remember that. Moving on into 2018, in the first round, they lose in 5 to the Rockets, and the Rockets had one player in particular that was able to expose Rudy Gobert and really started the biggest red flag with the Jazz, which was Rudy Gobert was not going to be able to play with faster players on the perimeter, specifically players that had a fast first step. And it was very apparent with James Harden, and it was apparent with Jalen Brunson tonight. I mean, Jalen Brunson was playing like his head was on fire, so shout out to him. I mean, shout out to those Villanova boys. I wanted to make a TikTok about that Villanova team that had Eric Pascal and all of them. I mean, it's remarkable that they've all found some sort of success. Even Eric Pascal, like, he's might have like fallen out of all rotations, but I mean, he had a moment where a lot of us were saying this guy is a promising rookie, and the Warriors are going to have another guy to soup. Some of us were even saying that he could be the backup to Draymond Green. Now that didn't turn out to be the case, but he had some really good flashes, and that entire team has had some really good moments. Even the second place defensive player of the year, shout out to that Villanova squad. But I mean, you're seeing a consistent trend with players that tend to have a fast first step and is able to pull Rudy to the outside. They can expose him consistently. And the problem is it's not really Rudy Gobert's fault. I mean, yeah, the guy's slender and he's not really able to move as quickly on his feet. But when you have consistent guys that tend to, I don't know, like get beat every time, Bojan Bogdanovic is not a great defender. I'm starting to feel Donovan Mitchell is, and Mike Conley has his moments, but he is not the same Mike Conley from the Grit and Grind Grizzlies. And it's clear that like this team's gonna underperform, and like I wouldn't be surprised if Luka Doncic even came back 75%. He could easily beat them and move on. I was saying before the series, like this was gonna show like how much heart the Jazz have. And in previous years, specifically recent history, it shows that when they get punched in the mouth, they don't tend to react very well. I mean, in 2018, they faced the Rockets and James Harden exposed them once again, and that offense was catered perfectly against a Jazz defense that was just not ready. I mean, Royce O'Neal tried his best to stop James Harden, but it was just clearly not enough. And Royce O'Neal is a fine outside perimeter defender, but you need a little bit more than that. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Matisse Thybulle would fit perfectly with the Jazz. Then you play the Nuggets, in which you go up 3-1 in the first round and end up losing. I mean, they showed this great momentum. I believe that was the bubble and one of the best series of all time. I mean, Jamal Murray and Donovan Mitchell were going back and forth. By all means, it was fantastic. And I think a lot of the bubble was based on momentum and how much your team could band together. And I know there could have been a rift there. And they beat up on the Grizzlies last year. The Grizzlies did a fantastic job. I mean, Ja Morant showed flashes, and they showed that they were much better underrated and kind of the team that was trying to punch up. I mean, they won the first game, but they ended up getting a full sweep. And they had won 6 in a row. And then they get punched in the mouth in game 3 against the Clippers, and it just seemed like they followed apart. And then you lose Terrence Mann in that 40-point, and don't even get me started. And it just feels like this team doesn't have the heart. And I understand that there's people on TV that were asking like, well, I mean, is the goal to get worse when you blow this up? And like, what is the next step? Like, how could you build around Donovan Mitchell? Because it's clear that Donovan Mitchell is going to be the guy that most likely stays unless he ends up going to New York. And then what do you do with Rudy Gobert? It's a whole mess once you get into that. It's very difficult to try to figure out what would be the next step for the Jazz. And you thought that maybe this guy like Mike Conley is a consistent point guard and a guy that can shoot the three, play defense. He would be the perfect match. And you're starting to get wings, and you get guys like Daniel House, and like on paper, this team looks championship level, but it doesn't work. And that's what's remarkable about the NBA is you see this and you watch this team that's not able to really get the job done. I mean, not to make a conference finals is truly disappointing in my eyes. I think that's a major disappointment. This team feels like the Clippers. They just can't get there, and it's just like, what can you add to this team? You can't add Bradley Beal and that gets better. I don't think that's the case. And watching them fall apart at the very end of this game, and even if they get out of this series against the Mavericks, like, they would have to make, honestly, a finals run for me to believe that this team could make a big run. I don't know. Like, they would have to break every tendency that they've had in previous years and band together, which is completely possible when a team is pushed to this limit. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, but I'm really starting to believe that the Jazz are, it's time to blow it up, and I don't know what to turn it into. I don't know what this video is about. I think the Jazz are a mess. And that's basically the point of the video. And if you are at this point in the video, thank you so much for watching. I am getting a new laptop. I forgot to mention, I am getting a new laptop by the early May, and it's got 4 times as memory. It's going to be just perfect for making videos, and it's going to pump out, I'm hoping, maybe videos every single day. Wouldn't you like that? And if you are new to the channel, please leave a like, leave a sub, leave your hot take in the comment. I love responding to y'all's comments. I try to respond to them like that. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day. Honestly, let's talk some basketball in the comments. Have a wonderful day.